Belief is a subjective approach to understand reality. Unlike other objective and thereby reliable intellectual human activities, like science, belief is only about how you perceive, what you like, or what makes you feel secure. But it is not about what really it is out there. And obviously your subjective experiences shouldn't be relied upon when it comes to explain reality. This is another common narrative of unbelief, where we see an explicit comparison between two approaches, subjective versus objective. Before trying to answer whether belief is really about subjective feelings or not, I think one important clarification should be made. The word subjective in such a comparison is a negative connotation. It implies that there are certain objective features of things, such as their color or size, which are assumed to exist without our presence. And there is our subjective perception of those features, which is assumed to be distorted. Or, in the best scenario, our subjective perception only exists in us and cannot be shared with others. In other words, subjective experiences should be simply discarded when we try to explain what is out there. And according to this line of thought, this is exactly what science does. It gives us an objective description of things by discarding subjective feelings of scientists and other people. Well, this is not only a rudimentary use of the word subjective, but also a problematic way to approach to reality. First of all, subjective experiences constitute a real and a true element of reality. I enjoy eating a chocolate cake, and this feeling is neither distorted nor unreliable. Yes, it might be specific to me and you may not enjoy eating a chocolate cake, which I highly doubt. But it is still true and it is something existent. There is a true relationship between me and the chocolate cake that I can investigate and understand. Any theory of reality that claims to explain what exists and how it exists must also explain that subjective feeling I have for a chocolate cake. Otherwise, it will be an incomplete explanation. There is no such thing as discarding subjectivity to reach a robust description. By doing so, at best, you reach an incomplete description. Second, subjective and objective from a methodological perspective are two different but inherently dependent approaches to probe different aspects of reality. They are two complementary modes of making connections to reality. Without each other, they are partial and insufficient. In order to make sense of reality, the first step we take is to have a subjective connection. For example, to conduct a scientific study, you start with making observations, which is a totally subjective mode of inquiry. Without a subject, there is no such thing as making observation. Then, by using an objective mode of reasoning, you infer a new aspect of what you have observed. But this new discovery does not falsify or replace the initial subjective connection you made. It is still part of the reality as you experience. Going back to my feelings for a chocolate cake, the first thing I do is to enjoy eating it. then I figure out a human being like myself can enjoy an external object like a chocolate cake. This new discovery that I have a capacity to enjoy things, relatively speaking, is an objective truth. And I can be even more objective by concluding that all humans, including myself, have a capacity to enjoy. The object of this enjoyment can be different from one person to another, but this doesn't change the fact that we all have such a capacity. In short, our initial subjective connection is a necessary step for carrying out an objective mode of reasoning. And neither of them is more or less valuable in terms of making sense of reality. We see this inseparable coupling of subjectivity and objectivity in belief as well. Belief is a confirmation of our objective and at the same time subjective connections with reality. Neither only one nor the other. Any belief system must make sense of all the objective features of things and all the subjective relationships we have with those features. As a believer of continuous creation, for example, I wouldn't accept a claim that, for instance, the sun can exist and sustain its existence by itself. But a creator is only needed to explain my feelings for the sun. Because my intellect strongly suggests that whatever or whoever creates my feelings must be the one who or that creates both the sun and me. So the creator must be invoked both to explain existence of objective features of the sun, such as its shape, size, distance from Earth, and the fact that I am thankful for its existence as it illuminates my day, a subjective connection I have. Only one or the other wouldn't be enough. He makes the night grow longer by shortening the day, and makes the day grow longer by shortening the night. And he has full knowledge of what is in hearts. Quran is full of such verses combining subjective and objective aspects of reality, giving a full picture of what you experience and what you know. The Creator in Quran asks you using all your faculties to reach and know about Him, not only your reasoning, intellect, or math skills, but also how you feel, what you like and what you dislike. Belief is for humans, and humans are both objective and subjective creatures.